Hello travelers and welcome back to Virtual Travel by Juan. Today we're tackling a critical pet safety topic. Can dogs eat onions? This question is especially important for those of us who travel with our pets and might share food from local cuisines. What you learn today could literally save your dog's life. And I'll be sharing a shocking case study of a near-fatal onion poisoning that happened to a fellow traveler's dog in Bali at the 7-minute mark. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on more animals, travel, and lifestyle content like this. Let's get started. Did you know that a single slice of onion could potentially hospitalize a small dog? Unlike many human foods that are merely unhealthy for our canine companions, onions contain a compound that triggers a destructive chain reaction in dogs' blood cells, potentially leading to a life-threatening condition that many pet owners never see coming until it's almost too late. As we explore global cuisines on our travels, knowing which common ingredients pose hidden dangers to our four-legged companions becomes not just helpful, but essential knowledge. Let's start with the clear answer. No, dogs should never eat onions in any form. This isn't a matter of moderation. Onions are categorically toxic to dogs. This applies to all varieties of onions: yellow, white, red, green onions, scallions, shallots, leeks, and chives. All members of the allium family pose the same danger. When a dog consumes onions, here's what happens physiologically. First, the N-propyl disulfide compounds are absorbed into the bloodstream. These compounds then attach to the surface of red blood cells, resulting in oxidative damage to the cell membranes. The damaged red blood cells are then marked by the dog's immune system as abnormal. The spleen, which filters blood, identifies these damaged cells and removes them from circulation, essentially destroying the dog's own red blood cells. As more red blood cells are destroyed, the dog begins to develop anemia, a condition where there aren't enough red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body. Since all tissues need oxygen to function properly, this can quickly become life-threatening. What's particularly insidious about this process is that it's not immediate. The destruction of red blood cells happens gradually over several days, which means a dog could consume onions and seem perfectly fine initially, only to develop severe anemia 3 to 5 days later. This delayed reaction often leads pet owners to forget about the onion exposure, making diagnosis more difficult when they finally seek veterinary care for their suddenly ill pet. It's crucial to understand that all forms of onions are dangerous to dogs. Raw onions contain the highest concentration of toxic compounds and should never be accessible to your dog. This includes scraps that might fall while cooking or leftovers on plates. Cooked onions remain toxic. The cooking process does not neutralize the harmful compounds. This is important to remember when sharing human food with your pet. That spaghetti sauce, stir-fry, or meatloaf likely contains cooked onions. Dehydrated or dried onions, often found in packaged soups and other prepared foods, are particularly dangerous because they're concentrated. This means even a small amount contains proportionally more of the toxic compounds. Onion powder is perhaps the most dangerous form due to its highly concentrated nature. Many prepared foods, spice mixes, and snacks contain onion powder. Just a small amount can cause significant toxicity in dogs. Fried onions, like those crispy onions on green bean casseroles or onion rings, combine the toxicity of onions with fatty fried foods that can cause additional digestive issues or even pancreatitis. Perhaps most concerning for travelers are foods from different culinary traditions that might contain hidden onions. Many global cuisines use onions as a base ingredient in stocks, sauces, and prepared dishes. When traveling with pets or ordering takeout, it's essential to verify that foods are completely onion-free before sharing with your dog. Knowing the signs of onion toxicity could help you seek treatment before the condition becomes critical. Here are the symptoms to watch for. The earliest signs often include lethargy and weakness as anemia begins to develop. Your dog may seem unusually tired or unwilling to exercise. This can easily be dismissed as general fatigue, especially when traveling. Gastrointestinal symptoms typically appear first, often within 24 hours of ingestion. These include vomiting, diarrhea, decreased appetite, and abdominal pain. While these symptoms could be caused by many things, they should always prompt caution, especially if onion exposure is possible. As anemia progresses, you may notice pale or yellow gums instead of the healthy pink color. This is a serious sign that needs immediate veterinary attention. Increased respiratory rate and effort occur as the body tries to compensate for fewer oxygen-carrying red blood cells. Your dog might pant excessively, even when resting or in cool conditions. Red or dark-colored urine can indicate that damaged red blood cells are being processed through the kidneys. In severe cases, collapse or fainting can occur when the brain isn't receiving enough oxygen. The most serious indicators include rapid heart rate, exercise intolerance, and in extreme cases, collapse or organ failure if left untreated. Remember that these symptoms typically develop gradually over 3 to 5 days after ingestion, which is why connecting them to onion consumption can be difficult if you're not vigilant. As promised, I want to share a real-life case that highlights just how dangerous onion toxicity can be. While traveling in Bali, a fellow pet traveler I met named Sarah was staying at a pet-friendly villa with her 12-pound Shih Tzu, Max. One evening, they ordered local food delivery, including some nasi goreng, which often contains onions. After dinner, Sarah briefly left the room to take a shower and returned to find that Max had managed to eat some leftover rice that had fallen from the coffee table. Not thinking much of it, since it was just a small amount, she didn't take any immediate action. 3 days later, Max became extremely lethargic and stopped eating. His gums looked pale, and he seemed to be breathing faster than normal even when resting. Initially, Sarah attributed it to the heat or perhaps travel stress. By the 4th day, Max was significantly worse, barely moving and showing yellowish gums. Sarah rushed him to a veterinary clinic in Denpasar. Blood tests revealed severe anemia, with Max's red blood cell count dangerously low. When questioned about possible toxin exposure, Sarah suddenly remembered the fried rice incident. The veterinarian confirmed that the most likely cause was onion toxicity from the nasi goreng, which typically contains a significant amount of onions. Max required a blood transfusion and intensive supportive care. Though he eventually recovered, he spent 3 days in the veterinary hospital, and Sarah's vacation was cut short by a $1,500 emergency veterinary bill. Most importantly, Max could have lost his life from what seemed like an insignificant amount of human food. This real case demonstrates why being vigilant about onions and other toxic foods is so critical, especially when traveling where unfamiliar foods might contain hidden dangers. If you suspect your dog has consumed onions, here's what to do. First, don't wait for symptoms to appear. By the time clinical signs are obvious, significant damage may already have occurred. Immediate action is crucial. If the ingestion just occurred within the last 1 to 2 hours, contact a veterinarian immediately. They may recommend inducing vomiting to remove the onions before they're fully digested. However, never induce vomiting without veterinary guidance, as it can be dangerous in certain situations. Bring the packaging or take photos of the food consumed if possible, so veterinarians can better assess the potential exposure level. If you're traveling in a foreign country, research emergency vet clinics before you need them, and save their contact information on your phone. Learning how to say veterinary emergency and onion poisoning in the local language can be incredibly helpful. At the veterinary clinic, diagnostic tests will likely include a complete blood count to assess red blood cell levels and look for characteristic changes that indicate onion toxicity. Treatment typically involves supportive care to protect the remaining red blood cells. In severe cases, blood transfusions may be necessary to replace the destroyed red blood cells until the body can produce new ones. Recovery time depends on the severity of the anemia, but can take up to several weeks for complete resolution as the body produces new red blood cells. Prevention is always better than treatment. Here are some practical tips to protect your dog from onion exposure. When cooking with onions, ensure all scraps are immediately disposed of in a secure trash can that your dog cannot access. Wipe counters thoroughly to remove residue. Never leave food containing onions unattended where your dog might reach it. This includes plates on coffee tables or countertops. Read all ingredient lists on prepared and packaged foods before sharing with your dog. Remember that spices, flavorings, or seasonings often include onion powder. When traveling, communicate clearly with restaurants or food delivery services about your needs. Phrases like severe dog allergy to onions might be more universally understood than detailed explanations about pet toxicity. Inform all household members and visitors about the dangers of feeding onions to your dog, especially children who might not understand the risks. Consider keeping activated charcoal in your pet first aid kit, especially when traveling. While not a substitute for veterinary care, it can help absorb toxins in emergency situations under veterinary guidance. Remember that many prepared foods contain onions as a base ingredient. Stocks, soups, sauces, gravies, stuffings, and many ethnic foods typically contain onions or onion powder. A good rule is to simply not share human food with your dog unless you're absolutely certain of all ingredients. So there you have it. The answer to "can dogs eat onions?" is a definitive no. This common ingredient poses a serious and potentially fatal risk to our canine companions. By being aware and vigilant, you can protect your four-legged friend from this hidden kitchen danger, whether at home or exploring the world together. If you found this information helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to Virtual Travel by Juan for more pet safety tips and global adventures. Drop a comment below with your questions about other foods and your pets. Until next time, this is Juan reminding you to travel safely with your four-legged companions.